Autogefühl is the channel that takes on your wishes, your desires, and that's why we're presenting you the Volkswagen Golf Alltrack here today in the exterior, interior and the driving experience on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars with Thomas. As I said in our latest video, we were asking you what cars you want to see next, and that was one of them. And I can already tell you so far, this one is my favorite Golf. I will explain to you why in Autogefühl now in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Taking German prices as a reference, the Golf Variant, the Estate or Kombi as we say in Germany, starts at about 20,000 euros. The Alltrack starts at about 30,000 euros, but the main reason for that is the engine. We're going to talk about that one later. Let's first start with the design here, because that one is really special with the Alltrack version. We got this comp structure grille as well as a stronger lower ending as well with this black plastic comp structure and those contrasts here in grey or silver. And well, that one you can of course pick. My favorite color for this one, Pacific Blue Metallic, comes close to a so-called Thomas Blue, and I think a perfect combination definitely for this car. In the side profile, the Golf Alltrack features those black mud guards. You see, there's also where the mud is placed actually. And well, that makes sense for a little bit of soft off-road riding. Is it really an off-road car? I can already tell you so far, no. Has 2 centimeters more ground clearance, just a little bit. It's more about the styling and the all-wheel drive, of course. 17-inch would be standard. This is here 18-inch, the optional rims, and very beautiful in this kind of tech style, I would call it that way. Really like it. And the Alltrack logo here as well, and another grey silver contrast at the lower part, and as well with those side cap mirrors. Beautiful design ideas, but still kept relatively simple. Also the design line, the dropping line, which is placed below the door handles, and then it is cut off here at the wheel arches again and then carried out until the rear of this 4 meters 56 long car. Here with the Golf, by the way, it is the case that the Estate version is a little bit longer than the hatch version. It's not with every compact or mid-size car. Here we are in the compact size segment. Here it's really the case that the Kombi, Estate or also the Alltrack is a little bit longer than the hatch. And finally to the rear. Basically it's a standard Golf rear, as you would also see it from the hatch. The difference here that the Alltrack has also the silver contrast at the lower part, and in combination with this 1.8 liter TSI, the turbo petrol engine, we have 2 exhaust pipes which are chromed around in the frame. This is a very beautiful styling. It looks off-road and sporty at the same time. I think they have found a good compromise there. And the look beneath the hood. Easy opening mechanism with hydraulic dampers, and you see I'm touching it now because it's not that warm. This is a 3D VW logo, beautiful done with the cover as well. 1.8 liter turbo petrol engine, 180 horsepower combined with all-wheel drive and DSG. But there are also 2 diesels available, 2 liter TDI and 1.6 liter. The smaller one is with manual, 110 horsepower, the bigger one 150 or 180 horsepower with DSG then. standard current Volkswagen key. We don't need that one, just for emergency cases. That one opens us the door to the Alltrack and solid door handles. And as we know, especially from the Golf or Passat, with a great closing sound, they really pay attention to those details. Then the first look at the interior. The seats are a mix from cloth and leather. And my latest research show that this is genuine leather, I think so. As far as I researched on the pricing list, which is kind of unnecessary. Even Porsche handles this differently now. But there's still room for improvement, and you can also, of course, just pick cloth seats or other variants. That's always possible. Those are the Ergo Active seats. They have the massage function in the lower part right here, and as well as an electric lumbar support. And you can also lengthen the seating area for the seat. I'll test the seat. And by the way, I've read that in the US, for our friends in the US, when you go for the Alltrack there, that you also get a fully leatherette seat. So maybe you can update me on that one, our friends from the US. But it's always best to talk to your dealer when you order the car. The seats itself, every seat you can get for the Golf is basically good. So you won't make any mistake with that one, also from the lower levels. And it's a pretty, let's say, neutral and standard seating position where kind of everyone will get along with. The head space is quite huge still. I'm 1.86 m in height, if you're not a subscriber of Autogefühl. And well, the only strange thing with those Ergo Comfort seats is that it's a mix between electric and manual. So the height is manually adjustable. Here's also manual and in the front, but there are also versions of those seat where you, for example, get the rear part electric, and the lumbar support is, for example, electric, and also the massage function. And you can also put it up in the front. And the display here, by the way, that's it for the lengthening. Then the rest of the interior, let's take a first overview. And here we are. Some call it boring, some other just call it classic or traditional. And indeed, it is a traditional Golf 7 cockpit. Nothing really that is screaming out to you, but everything is in the right place because you sit down and you don't have to learn the car. Everything is directly in front of you and quite intuitional. And here we don't have this quite frequently used recently, the black shiny parts. This one here is more kept in the grey silver color. Also, if you look at the exterior, that corresponds better, definitely. And also doesn't leave the dust of fingerprints that much as the black glossy stuff would leave then. We also have the biggest GPS here available with the proximity sensor. We will soon get into a detailed run on the GPS, and also the AC unit placed below that, but not too low, so you can very well control it. And all of the buttons, they are also from a very solid quality. Getting to the lower part, there's a flipping space, and those details show you how much attention they pay to those details, because this flipping process is better, for example, than in a 120,000 euro Range Rover. DSG we have here combined with the 4Motion, with the all-wheel drive, and then in the lower part here, beverage holders. You can also cover them as well, electric handbrake. And right here we have the armrest, which is again from a very solid quality, just properly fixed, and with some more space right here. More storage space at the inside of the doors. You see, this is very huge, well usable. Then the glove box sliding down. Got plenty of space in there, and it can also be cooled right here. Not cooled, cooled. Not cooled, cooled. Homer Simpson style. And what I forgot to mention is that the USB port is right in there, by the way. Oh, there it is, the USB port. And at the top of the car, for your glasses, well, for example, for the sunglasses, you could put in there that you can change it. And left next to the steering wheel, there's another hidden spot. In the steering wheel, right size, more classic style, but flattened end, so a little bit sporty, and it also feels sporty. I can tell you more about the steering in our driving part. And what else? There are also shifting pedals here for the DSG, and quality-wise, you can also, for example, see that all of the plastics here, they're a little bit softened up, so they look better and also feel a little bit better. The AC unit in detail, by the way, I think it's always nice to see the temperature behind this small glass panel, and optional, this vehicle is also equipped with seat heating and heated steering wheel, my favorite in winter times, but it's combined in one button, and you can here change it around with the button. The heated steering wheel stays active in this and this position as well, but then both are deactivated. If you want to split it, you have to then go to the screen and then, for example, deactivate the heated steering wheel if you don't want it, or put the seat heating lower, or put it off, and then again the heated steering wheel on. So everything is possible how you want it, but maybe a little bit complicated. And more to the details, I like this style here at the inside part of the doors, and again, good quality, solid door handles as well. And an Alltrack entry cover, and you see that does get dirty, but still looks good when you have the silver or aluminum elements at the pedals. Let's look at the menu. With a key next to the DSG, you can also pick the driving modes and click the button, or also click it via touch here. Sport mode, where the engine turns up higher, gears are kept further. Also the off-road mode is available here in the Alltrack version. That's special with hill descent control, for example. And the all-wheel drive is a little bit set up then that you have more torque equally distributed. Eco mode for sailing or coasting, that the car rolls further and is not kept in gear. And comfort or normal for the normal riding. I would keep it just that way. Menu, you can hit the keys here. You can also scroll further like this or use this button. So I think it's good to have some redundant functions because everyone wants to control it in a different way. Maybe you can also get your images of your favorite cat or dog right here from a USB port source, for example, or from an SD card. It's a good idea. Then, well, this is not a real consumption because we have just driven to our shooting spot here now. Consumption will be about 7 liters on 100 kilometers, or between 7 and 8. You see here the long-term run, 8 hours, 500 kilometers, 8. So you can get between 7 to 8 liters, which is for the petrol engine not super good, but also just quite okay. Radio will look like this, good visualizations. Phone you can connect via Bluetooth then. Also there's voice command. Navigation.
To switch to another context, say, navigation, telephone, media or radio, you can also always say, help.
Navigation. Navigation.
Source CD is not available.
Okay, maybe that leaves some... Let's try it again. Navigation.
Navigation. Next command.
So that works, not only hitting the button, also with the voice command. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more patient to tell the command. And there it is, the GPS, and you see this is the proximity sensor. Then those keys here in the lower part pop up and you can set a new destination, for example. And there are quite good reaction times, and the visibility and also the functions of this GPS, I just love it. It's a really good system. And optionally, you can also get this so-called app connect. You can pick it in the menu, and we connect now an iPhone 5. It's of course also working with other mobile devices. We plug it into the USB hub. Well, it was not that easy for big hands to put it in there, so there it is. And also the mobile phone signals me I'm plugged in. Yes, connect to Apple CarPlay. You can't be in the flight mode. You have to allow it on your phone, and there it is already. And you see, there's no additional app on the phone needed. It's a really good thing. And you can, for example, use the GPS, and you don't have to have the GPS inside inside your car, for example. Let's see, Apple CarPlay here is available. Then how can we go back? So. Yeah, there you see that the mirroring is also working. You can go to the music, for example, and listening to your favorite playlist, Eros Ramazzotti, or maybe Voices of Trance. That's a great thing for me, for example. It's a funny thing that when you press it on the phone, it's also jumping back there. And this is here, you see, this is the button, would be similar to that one here. You can, for example, also check your messages here then. And last but not least, we can also see some here in the Alltrack or some off-road information display, for example, the compass, and also the oil temperature, and also the height. We're at the moment, we're at 56 meters here. well, it's quite flat here in Germany, basically. So, and what else? When I start the engine, rear view camera. This one, you see, it's a huge screen. In the Mercedes or in the BMW, you have a better quality as for the resolution, but you can see it very well here. And also, additionally, you get the sensors here that you can have both the visual and also the sensor experience. Let's get in the rear. And unfortunately, you can only flip the seats from here. You cannot adjust the rear part of the seat, you know, that you maybe want to sit more upright. So it's just possible to flip them from here. But I get inside to check the headroom and also the knee space. It's still a compact car and you have more knee space, for example, in the Volkswagen Tiguan, because people sit more upright there. Here for 1,86 m, it's still okay. Place in front of my knees. Also the headroom without panoramic roof. Yeah, so if you go for tall people in the rear, leave out the panoramic roof. Even if tall people here in the front, this is still working. Also a big advantage if you compare it to the Volkswagen Golf hatch, where you don't have this knee space here. So overall, a quite good result for a compact car. Definitely also the seating position, although you cannot adjust the rear part of the seat, is rather upright, and overall I feel very comfortable also here. I mean, with 4 adults going on a holiday, no problem with this car. What else is worth to mention, that you have the design from the front repeated also for the rear seats in this kind of, you know, 4-seater style. Of course, you can still sit here also in the middle. There's also a full seat belt for it. Ambient lighting and 2-zone AC is from standard equipment, but you can of course get more little optional features. This one here, beverage holder here, and then optionally you can also get this ski hatch, where you can look right through the trunk and, for example, also put your ski in here to the very front, right there to the camera. Let's take a look at the trunk. We can flip the VW logo. Also the camera is hidden behind the logo. It's a good system because the camera doesn't get dirty. This is the first basic setup, and we have an optional rubber mat here, and this is very good if you have dirty stuff, or maybe with a dog you can just pull it out and clean it very easily. That's definitely a nice thing. Then let's show you even more here, because if we lift up the rubber mat, we can lift down the lower floor and we have more space. You can see you can optionally get a replacement tire there. Usually with most of the European vehicles, it's left out from standard equipment to save weight, and you just have a tire repair kit. And you have a lot of space down here, but you can also get the replacement tire. What else do we have here? We have fixations for tension belts right here and also at the other side. And there are also 2 more hidden way more down in the trunk. Also we got a 12-volt power supply and a 230-volt power supply. You can put a German plug in there. I'm not sure if it's different with the US version, for example, or if you have to use an adapter, but you can get power. That's the main message. By the way, the trunk cover, I really like this system because it's not like flying around. It is fixed in rails, and then you just press it. It's a very clean solution, and also it's really, really easy to get it out. I haven't seen such an easy system quite often. And then it continues with the easy system. You can fold the seats right from here, 1/3, 2/3 split, and then you have the full glory of the luggage compartment. And I got the measuring stick here right now again, and let's see how long it is in this setup. And you see this measuring stick is always 2 meters, so it's really almost 2 meters now to the front seat, and we can move the front seat totally in the front. Well, it's a little bit unlucky in this case, because, well, this one is the maximum we can do here right now. So that would be even exactly 2 meters, and that means you can fit any bicycle in here. There would also be an option where you can put the front seat totally flat, that you can get even like longer, like in this here, like 2 meters and 50 or something like that. But that's not with those Ergo Comfort seats. So standard equipment with the Alltrack would be the foldable co-driver seat, but it's not with this test vehicle. So a bad choice as for the seats for this very test vehicle. And what else is interesting? Well, the only limitation, for example, if I think about loading my huge downhill mountain bike in there, height of 70 centimeters. Wasn't my bike even 80 centimeters broad from the handlebars? I think so. So you might have to switch a little bit with the handlebars. It will fit in there, but that's the only limitation. I think this could be higher, but then again the car wouldn't look that beautiful and flat from the outside. Let's get to the driving part. DSG in drive mode. 1.8 liter turbo petrol engine combined with DSG dual clutch transmission and the all-wheel drive, so-called 4Motion at Volkswagen. 90-degree corner, and you see the steering wheel does not even have to be 90 degrees. And already in the Golf Alltrack, which is not like the sports car, you have a very sporty steering wheel and one that is, you could call, progressive. It's also called that way, this progressive steering indeed, and I really like it because you don't need so wide steering angles. That's very good when you're just traveling inside the city. It's easy driving, and at the same time the steering is not that soft that it would feel unnatural. It still feels quite natural, and also at a little bit higher speeds, countryside riding, you'll also get a sporty feeling of the car. We'll have city driving here, Autobahn, and a short stop, of course, also on countryside, so all different riding modes. Going hard off-road doesn't really make sense with the car. It's just good to know, okay, you have a little bit more ground clearance when you have maybe a little bit of snow on the road, or maybe you are on some gravel roads. If you're facing a downhill, you will always also have this hill descent control with the Alltrack. Do you really feel from riding that this Golf sits higher? Hardly, maybe. I think, well, you notice the difference when you drive the Golf R variant. You can also check out that review. It will be linked in the video description and in our own comment. And then go to the Golf Alltrack. Then you realize the difference because the R sits low with sport suspension. The Alltrack sits higher. Then you really feel the difference. But from standard Golf, 2 centimeters is really hard to feel the big difference in this case then. But this suspension here is definitely set on the comfort mode, and especially you can also pick the adaptive suspension as we have here also with the driving modes. And it gives you a good feeling in almost every riding situation. So even if I'm, for example, going right and left here, the car isn't tilting that much, it still gives me a kind of sporty feeling, but running just straight, and also when we go faster we will even more realize that also gives me a quite comfortable feeling. So they have really figured it out with the suspension that we have a good compromise between sporty riding and comfort riding. And if you compare, for example, German and Japanese manufacturers, the German manufacturers tend to do it a little bit stiffer. The Japanese one are more softer, and it's not that you can say one is bad, one is good. It just depends on what you appreciate more, definitely. Also, some people ask me, well, you have also driven the Passat Alltrack. You can also find that review on Autogefühl. We will also link that down there. What's the difference there? Well, the Passat is, of course, the bigger car. Has maybe even some more comfort, especially when going straight, also due to the longer wheelbase. But indeed, if you don't really need that space, you can already say that's all the space you need. And I've recently heard an old Passat customer who wanted to go for a new one and got new one and said, oh wow, it was such a huge car, and then went for a Golf, because nowadays Golf is the size than formerly the Passat was in the previous generations. Funny thing, cars getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so basically here with this compact size car, you already get a lot of comfort in riding. So I wouldn't also mind going on some longer trip here right now. Makes a good and solid impression from the riding comfort, definitely. And that's the good thing, you can always drive sport here if you like to, and also, for example, go to the sport riding mode, and then the gears are turned up higher. You get a direct throttle input and so on. Also, this engine here, this turbo petrol engine, is, I think, the right one for this car. You don't need to go any bigger. The Passat offered the 2-liter TSI then, but you don't really need it here in the Golf. So this one here is really sufficient also when the car is fully loaded. You know, there are also in certain markets the diesel available. Should you go for them? Well, I'm more a petrol friend if it goes for standard. You see it here right here, how agile I can go around in the city. It's really fun. And that's also an advantage, for example, if you compare it to SUVs, because this one here is a transition between a normal car and SUVs. But this one here offers more riding fun because it's also, you know, not that tilting so much as an SUV. So that's, I think, also a very, very crucial point, because someone was also recently asking me, why would you go for this Audi A4 Allroad and not for Audi Q5? Some people appreciate more to sit a little bit lower, have a sportier ride, and have a long, long luggage area. And that's where the variants, the combis, the estates, the station wagons, to get all the synonyms for those ones, where they have an advantage, really. That's also a key aspect, definitely. Then sound insulation, from my subjective point, is also at a very high standard. Of course, we've driven some, you know, cars that cost maybe double or triple the money that are better in that case, but we've also driven a lot of cars that were worse in the sound insulation. And if we not only trust on us, but also on our dB meter, let's say when standing still, right over 50, 55, but there's a bus now here as well. And you know, this reference point was the all-new Tiguan, which was about 50 dB when standing still with engine running, and 70 dB when driving 50 kilometers an hour. And I'm doing that right now, 50 kilometers an hour, 67 dB, 70. It's an equal result than the one we had in the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan, and I think, well, it shows that the MQB, this modular transverse building platform inside the Volkswagen Corporation, of course they use alike materials and also insulation concepts, so that's also just rather logical that we score the same amount here, and generally speaks for a good sound insulation in the car. So you feel comfortable, feel calm, but at the same time you feel in control and can boost up your riding, definitely. So what else can we show you? Different driving modes. We will switch to the eco mode because we're going a little bit uphill now, and then we're going downhill and can better test this coasting or sailing function, that the engine is kind of capped off, the rolling process, and you just roll as long as possible, and that saves fuel and works pretty well with the dual clutch transmission. And then you don't have to switch into the neutral gear, so that makes your car riding a little bit easier. Also, when we get on the motorway part pretty soon, we can show you more of the acceleration, that you know what to expect. Well, we're not fully loaded here, 2 people and some camera equipment still in the trunk, but of course that can be, you know, can be filled up quite a more when you're going with 4 people on holiday. But then you get an acceleration figure from us as well. I usually put the speed, the digital speed, in the center one, because you can easily see that than the normal analog speed, and it's of course always important to take a look at that one, that you don't get hunted by those speeding cameras. Optional, there's also cruise control, the adaptive one, available, and no matter if you in traffic, especially also on the Autobahn, that's always a good thing. One of the features I tend to appreciate most, definitely. I can show you that when we have the next car in front of you, so I'll get back to that one again. Other than that, if no one is in front of me, I can activate it here, activate or deactivate it, and then I can set or resume the speed right here. Pretty easy system, and this one also works flawlessly. By the way, now also in some stop-and-go traffic, the engine is reacting very well, I have to say. So it gives you a good feeling. And then we get it back to the point, diesel versus petrol engine. You know, I'm really in favor of electric cars. nowadays, but if it comes to real combustion engines still, I usually prefer the petrol ones because they're more silent and they also don't have the same toxic emissions than the diesels, especially when you're driving inside the city. So I'm really satisfied with that engine here. It makes it a lot of fun to drive, and also the consumption, as I said, will be around 7 to 8 liters on 1 kilometers. Of course, it can always be less, but it's acceptable. ACC is now active. I'm leaving my foot off the throttle. Just flowing in traffic now. I can also set the distance in the middle. Maximum distance, I hit the key, minimum distance, and then I have 2 or 3 levels in between. And now I, for example, set it to 54. It's, by the way, an interesting information as well. The speedometer always shows you a little bit more than you're actually going. You shouldn't trust on that, but if you compare it then to GPS figures, it's usually the case. It's a legal issue because a manufacturer always wants to show more, because let's imagine it shows less, and then you could actually sue them afterwards saying, hey, you just had the accident because the speedometer showed less, or I just was, I have to pay money for some speeding ticket now because it's your fault, manufacturer. So they just show a little bit more speed than the car actually does. But you shouldn't trust in that. But here, even a 50 kilometers allowed is not really a problem when I set the ACC to 52 or something like that. That will still do just fine for my speeding tickets. And I think I got speeding tickets like twice. And I mean, in, well, over a decade of riding, I don't know how long it is, 1 or 2 decades. It's not really much. And also one reason is because I frequently use those cruise controls or ACCs, and then not so much can happen, because sometimes when you're just using the throttle manually, you just maybe slip on the throttle, you don't really pay attention, and 20 kilometers over the speed limit, and then something bad is happening. So right now I've set it here, and that's of course like one step to autonomous driving. We also know cars that at the same time control the steering wheel. Here in this case we have a lane keeping assistant, and if we can test it on the motorway, when we get off that we get a warning. So that would be the second step then. And then on and on will those systems continue to give you more autonomous riding features. The new Passat B8 was in front of us now with the 2-liter TDI. So, but you see, even if this happens, the ACC doesn't overreact. Some ACC systems, when someone goes in, like full emergency brake, but here, it's a very refined system, so I'm very satisfied with that one. We are approaching our motorway part where we can hammer the throttle even more and show you some of the acceleration figures. Always like to do that and see how this engine here also really performs. You hardly hear the engine. It's really very silent, so a good result right there. So we got a very, very refined impression for all of that. By the way, I didn't show you that in the interior review. If you want to adjust the steering wheel when standing still, you can do it up and down, and also towards you and far away. And it's a pretty easy system. It doesn't always have to be electric. Good thing is, when it's electric, it's easier to set it while driving, definitely. So maybe now like 10 to 50, let's go now. And that's it. So you see, especially in the low speed areas, there's really a good performance. Or maybe let's show you 50 to 70, and let's go to the sport mode, that you can see the difference there. 1 gear lower now. And that's it, already at 77. And you maybe heard the gears are turned up higher. But usually you just leave it in the comfort mode, or maybe even the eco mode, because in eco mode, when I lift my foot off the throttle, car doesn't reduce the speed at all, hardly. 60, 59, 58, very slowly, just running freely. And if I go into the other modes, the engine brake is active. It's kept, for example, in a certain gear, and it's not, the car is still connected, then the drivetrain with the engine. and so the speed is reduced. And well, if you want to reduce the speed anyway, that's pretty fine. If you want to let the car roll as far as possible, then the eco mode does make sense, definitely. So last traffic light, and then we'll get to the motorway. And also looking forward, what about the sound installation at about 100 kilometers an hour, which is then one of the standard motorway speeds. That's always important. And how does the car behave in higher speeds as well? And even if you just put middle throttle, then you have a fine acceleration as well. Setting the cruise control to 70 now. Speaking about the overview from the mirrors, you have a quite huge back mirror, and as all the windows are steeply oriented, you have a very good overview to all of the sides. So this is one big plus of the car. You feel very safe in this car because no matter where you look to, you have a great overview really to all of the sides. Also in the rear part, rear windows, and I think it should even be better in the hatch version. So a very good overview for this estate Alltrack version. And overall, I've told you that this is one of my favorite Golf versions, and you know, that's the overall mix because you can do so much with the car and it's quite good in every situation. And now acceleration from 70 to 100. Let's go now. And that's it. So you see, a fairly good result. It really feels sporty, and you know, if you look at the Alltrack, which is stressing this off-road look, you maybe don't think that about it that it would be that sporty. So rain now as well, and that's even better to test the sound installation. We're going at 100 kilometers an hour now, and I still don't have to raise my voice that much. Again, speaks for the car. Also, the car is kept quite stable right here again. So go some left and right steering and get good control of the car. Of course, the car still sits on the comfort mode, not a real stiff one, but no problems at higher speeds here whatsoever. So the car also feels very good as an Autobahn, as a motorway car, definitely. So if you're going on a long motorway trip with your whole family, totally suitable as well. And then we can also get off the motorway again and show you some countryside routes, maybe have some more agility in the ride. Still have the ACC set here, by the way. It's just a very comfortable feature, definitely. Let's get off maybe with the side part. Lane keeping assist. Doesn't say me anything now. I'm not sure why the lane keeping assist is not telling me anything now. I don't know. Can't comment on that one here so far. Check maybe in the systems. So getting off, you see here, a faster corner. Really feels sporty. So if you think about, oh, I get a Golf Alltrack and then I don't have this rather sporty Golf feeling anymore, you still do have it. So it's no problem with this little bit higher suspension. Still get that good sporty feeling. So what about the assistance system? Let's check about it again in the middle part. Lane assist was deactivated. Don't know who did it. But that's the way in the middle where you can activate it again. So just hit OK on the steering wheel and then you can activate it. Also the front assist that comes here with this vehicle spec. This is the emergency brake, very important thing. With the newer Volkswagen cars, they usually now implement it from serial equipment. For example, the all-new Tiguan. In the older one, it's not from serial equipment yet. To get it optional, but be sure always to get it. The emergency brake is one of the most important security features, definitely. Let's see if the lane assist also really working here. I think it's not fast enough. Should rather be working on the motorway again. So now we get to our countryside part. If there won't be the next traffic light. It's always the thing, what do you think about traffic lights? I really hate them. You know, for our friends in France, nice. You will have a lot of roundabouts also in the Netherlands, and I think they make more sense than so many traffic lights, because in Germany, even if there's not so much traffic, not so many roundabouts are used. More the traffic lights. In Germany, always have to be regulation, law for this, everything is forbidden. As usually the system, everything is forbidden unless it is allowed. Other systems like everything is allowed unless it's forbidden. Here it's the other way around. So, and now some turning here again. You see how directly the steering wheel reacts and what the car is doing. So I'm really satisfied with that one. And if you want it even sportier, well, then you have to go for another version. For example, the Golf R variant. Be sure to check out that review, because we also have some launch controlled experiments in there and some little racetrack action. It was a very fun review, and you should go sure to join that one here as well. But overall, as I said, for the everyday riding, I would rather take the better comfort here of the Volkswagen Golf Alltrack. And also from riding, the thing is, well, there might be more spectacular cars, more emotional cars maybe, but here we don't, find anything we could really criticize, and that always speaks for the car, definitely. Now to a small off-road part. We'll go into the off-road driving mode, that also the HDC, the hill descent control, is active. And that means we can let go of the throttle and get my foot off the throttle now, but we're going downhill and still we are kept at a relatively low speed. This is the park distance control. I deactivated the sound now, and now, for example, it's getting a little bit steeper, and still, you maybe heard that there were the brakes. And this is all done now by the hill descent control. So it's below 10 kilometers an hour, so relatively low the speed. And I can also activate then the off-road driving stuff, for example, that you can see how high we are and also which direction we're going. And with the hill descent control, it's really easy then to go off-road, even if you're not that experienced. Also, usual all-wheel drive, the 4Motion in Volkswagen is always front-wheel drive plus rear-wheel drive. By the way, if you want to go slower, you can always apply the brakes yourself, of course. Usual all-wheel drive is front, now we're just sliding a little bit, it's funny, is front plus rear. And in the off-road mode, you have a more equal distribution from front to the rear wheels. Of course, the normal driving mode is more power usually at the front wheels. So it always gives you a good feeling also when riding off-road. Of course, you don't have the highest ground clearance, but for some soft off-road like now, also good and nice features that you can make the car a little bit dirty. Now to the conclusion, Volkswagen Golf Alltrack. Why is it my dream Golf? Well, the exterior has a great contrast, especially in this color. It is something special, something unique that stands out from so many Golfs that are, for example, especially driving in Germany. The Golf is the car in Germany as for the sales figures, and also people just like it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be bought that often. Then you get this typically very refined Golf interior, and you can get different versions there as well, different trims, and you can put it up every higher. But, well, you don't have to have the highest, with every option. Also, the basic version will pretty much do fine. Then, as for the riding, it's a very comfortable riding experience. It's good to have the all-wheel drive. It's not a true off-road car, but I also wouldn't really need a true off-road car. But it's maybe not bad to know that you have a little bit more of the ground clearance. And of course, it's an estate, so you can do more with the car. For a lot of you, maybe a GTI or a Golf R is the dream Golf, but I think if you're driving this car for every day, then you might be happier with that one, because you can, have more using purposes, and it will of course be a little more comfortable. So share your thoughts on the car with us in the comments, please, and also give us a thumbs up for the video if you liked it. And I'm pretty sure we'll see each other at the next Autogefühl episode. Thanks for watching and bye.